right, everyone, thank you for coming to my workshop for Intro to Polygon ID with on-chain verified credentials. This is sort of like a part one to a additional workshop that will happen at ETH India, so you guys get some alpha. But this is supposed to give you a little bit of an introduction on what Polygon ID is and how you can start using it to build. So a little bit about me. My name's Rahat. I'm the lead developer relations engineer over at Polygon. Previously been a front-end engineer, Solidity engineer, indie hacker / Web3 enthusiast. I've tried to build a few startups, spectacularly failed. Cannot tell you how to succeed, but I can tell you what doesn't work. I've been called out because I say that every single time I do a talk, but I can't think of anything new, so keep saying that. There's a couple places you can reach me: Twitter, LinkedIn, GitHub, etc. if you want to go over any of the code that we go over today. But first, we're going to play a game. The image that you see on the screen right now is a claim. The claim is that I am a pixelated punk. What I want all of you to verify right now, am I a pixelated punk, yes or no? That's not the answer that I wanted. No one ever gives the answer that I want. Please say yes. Yes. Okay, so you all verified that I am indeed this pixelated punk, because that's exactly what I look like in real life. So congratulations, you just participated in an IRL version of Polygon ID. What does that actually mean? What is Polygon ID? So Polygon ID is a blockchain native identity system with what we call programmable privacy. And it empowers people to enable the creation of trusted interactions between Web3 services. So you have your universal identity, the ability to prove access rights, and doing things like advanced on-chain verification. We're going to go through a little bit of that today in the code example that I'm about to give you right now. But I wanted to bring your attention to that little game that we just played. It illustrates what's called the triangle of trust. So the triangle of trust has three pieces to it: an issuer, an ID holder, and a verifier. In this case, the issuer was Pixel Portraits. Shout out to Pixel Portraits. They actually made this pixelated punk for me. It's custom made. They're amazing. You should reach out to them if you want one. But they issued me this NFT, which is me, essentially, right? I am the holder of this NFT, so I have this claim, or NFT. And you all, as ETH India hackers and Zero-to-Dapp conference goers, verified that I am indeed this, the holder of this specific claim. And that is how you want to kind of like structure how you build out dApps using Polygon ID. Now, let's talk a little bit about what I want to build for today. The thing is, many social media platforms require you to be 13 years or older in order to actually use them. Instagram, I think Twitter does the same thing. But we go on all of these websites. We enter our date of birth over and over and over again. We're sharing our date of birth and like private details to a lot of different social media platforms. Why should we have to do that? We can leverage Polygon ID to issue a soul-bound NFT based on a specific age credential. So what we're going to do today, we're going to issue ourselves a claim that contains our date of birth. We're going to create a smart contract that mints a soul-bound NFT as long as our age is over 13. And we're going to create a front end where anyone with a Polygon ID wallet can claim this NFT. So one thing to kind of visualize in this specific example is we're kind of wearing two hats in this one. We're going to be issuing ourselves a claim. We're also going to be acting as a verifier. In real life, these would be separated. You would have some service that issues you a claim. Maybe they're verifying your passport, maybe they're verifying your ID or something, and they issue you a claim based on that verification. And then you have some app that looks at that credential, verifies that they trust the person who issued you this claim, and say, okay, cool, I know this person is 13 or older, I'm gonna issue them this NFT. In our case, we're gonna be wearing both hats. So let's take a look at some code. So all of this code is going to be available on Twitter right after this. So you don't have to frantically copy or take pictures of anything. But there's a little README here, kind of like going through everything I'm going to be going through right now, including a specific tutorial that you can go through step by step on how to implement something like this. This specific tutorial uses Hardhat. And To get started using Polygon ID, you just go onto the Google Play Store or Apple Store, and you download the Polygon ID mobile wallet app. The difference between the Polygon ID mobile wallet app and like your traditional wallets is you can't really do like regular transactions. It is specifically only for one use case, which is holding a claim given to you by some issuer. And we're gonna take a look at those claims in a second. So that claim could be you are, X years old, you own a specific NFT, you have some level of income, anything like that. We're going to go through issuing ourselves a claim, but these are step-by-step instructions on how to do so. And let's take a look at that right now. We can use this Polygon ID platform for issuing ourselves a claim. So you'll see that I have already created a few, but all you have to do is go to platform-polygonid.com and create like an organization. That organization will be issuing claims. So if I wanted to issue myself a claim, let's say the schema name for this claim will be something like over 13, or verify age. We'll call the attribute over 13. And there's 3 different data types that are currently supported by the UI platform, which is true or false, yes or no, dates, and numbers. So anything you can do with these, you can do within the claims. I'm just going to make it a date. And I'm going to skip the attribution. There's also a expiration date that you can add to it. I'm not going to add it for now. This is optional. But I'm going to hit save and offer claim. No spaces. Cool. So now I have this specific claim. In real life, what I would do is I would have some service at this point. You would upload your passport, your ID. I'd verify that you're, of whatever age, and then I would issue you some link to verify to actually grab this claim. In our case, we're just going to say we did the verification. So we're going to say, okay, I have to be 13 or older. I will not use my real date of birth, but let's say I don't want to be that old. 91, February 27th. Okay. And this is the claim expiration date, which is optional. But now my date of birth exists within this attribute. I'm going to generate the claim offer. Once I have the claim, I can copy this link and I can give it to my customer or whoever. But this is a claim offer that I can now use my Polygon ID wallet to actually grab. So to do that, grab my Polygon ID wallet. You will not be able to see this at all. But essentially, you open up your Polygon ID wallet. I have a video of me doing this later. My phone doesn't want to work right now. So you would take out your Polygon ID wallet, scan this QR code, and then within your Polygon ID wallet, you would now have a specific credential that says you are over 13. It'll have the information in it about your date of birth. This is not shared with anyone. This only exists on your local Polygon ID mobile wallet. Is not saved on the blockchain, is not saved anywhere. Cool. So now, great. We went through some issuer. The issuer has given us a credential saying that we are 13 or older. So now, what we want to do is create a smart contract that mints a soulbound NFT. A couple of things, a couple of different hacky things that you kind of have to do, at least for now, is copy and paste a couple of library smart contracts into your smart contract. These are within the interfaces, libraries, and verifiers. These essentially take care of building out the verification of the ZK proofs for you, so you don't have to do that. So we just kind of wanted this to be a little bit of plug and play, but you can dive into the code here. I'm not going to deep dive into it too much. All of this is available on the tutorial. It's available on my GitHub, so you can easily grab those. We're going to be working on a little bit of an NPM package, so you don't have to copy and paste all the time. You can just run NPM and install those library contracts very, very soon. But I've got all of my library contracts kind of in there, and this is going to be my main contract. So Ooh, I think I have the wrong code base, actually. Give me one moment. Okay. Damn. There's a lot of things in here. Did I call it? Okay. Let's just open the code from GitHub. Here we go. Does anyone know what the little extension is to turn this into VS Code? It's like a dot something. Dot dev? Ah. Okay. Cool. All right, so that should make this a little easier to see. Let me go in here. Cool. So same thing here, got the interface library verifiers. And for some reason, this is still in the ERC20. Why is this in the ERC20? Okay, well, it works about the same way, but essentially, you can take this and I'm really upset this is still in the ERC20. Give me 1 second. Oh boy. I may have pushed like the wrong code to this repo at some point. It's probably what happened. All right. So this can be done with the ERC20s, the ERC721s, the ERC1155s, whatever. That's not a huge issue. But I'm importing the OpenZeppelin ERC20 standard. And in this case, what we're doing is, as long as you are over a certain age, you're going to be able to mint a specific airdrop of tokens to your wallet. Or you can switch this out, do an ERC721, make a soulbound token that you can like bring with you to different dApps. But in this case, there's just a couple like things going on here, a couple mappings, mapping to the ID address, things like that. That's not really the main gist of what I want to focus on. What we're focusing on is a couple things: the before proof submit function, after proof submit, and before token transfer. So before proof submit, and this is going to be calling our IRC circuit validator, which is one of those library functions. Essentially, what it's going to do is check to make sure that the address that is connecting to the Polygon ID wallet or through this dApp is the same address that holds the specific claim. After the proof submit, once all of that validation is done, the validation in this case is going to be, are you over 13 or not? Inside of this if statement is where kind of like the magic happens. Anything you want to do here is what you're doing here. Mint some tokens, mint an NFT, whatever it is. Once you do the verification, the logic here is entirely up to you. So this kind of like changes from dApp to dApp. But here, once we know that they're over the age of 13, we're giving them a certain amount of tokens within this airdrop. Then we have this before token transfer to make sure that we're overriding the ability to transfer tokens to anyone who does not have a verified credential. So you must have a verified proof showcasing that you're over the age of 13 in order to actually receive this token. So nobody else can just mint it for you and send it to you. All of these are going to be checked within these functions. The same kind of logic works for if you want to make this a soulbound token, you would just go in here and just X out the ability to actually transfer. Cool. So in order to actually deploy this, there's two scripts you need to run. First is your regular deploy script. Nothing fancy going on here. But next is actually setting the ability to do the verification through a ZK proof. Right now, we have an address for a contract that is deployed on the Mumbai testnet. Polygon ID is currently only on testnet, but you can start building on it right away. So this validator address will be kind of like the same for all of your apps. You would use this to actually set your app to be able to access the ZK proofs and verifiers for any of your queries. And then you have an actual query that can be run from your app. So in this case, I have this age query. And there is a link to the documentation on how you would set this up. But this is essentially just a very basic JSON query language. Just have this big JSON object with a bunch of different values inside of it. The main things that you want to look at are the fact that you want this operator, number 2, means greater than. You can look at the different operators in the documentation, but you can do like greater than, less than, equals, whatever operators you want. And then the value in here is super important. We are checking to make sure that this person was born before this date. As long as they're born before this date, great. They will receive a verification proof from the contract that is deployed on Mumbai. So you run those 2, and you're set to go. Your contract is deployed. Lastly, you want a little bit of front-end code to actually make sure your customers or whoever can actually verify this. But what's going to happen here is you need to generate a QR code. You can do that using any number of different NPM packages. This code sandbox uses QR code from React QR SVG. You can use whatever you want. But within this QR code, you need to pass some data. And it is once again this QR proof request JSON object. So again, you would just go through the documentation to see exactly what pieces of data you would need for your specific use case. But again, the main things here is that we're checking for the birthday if it's less than this specific date. A lot of these other bits of information, the URL for the schema and the type, you would get from the actual claim. So the attributes are all on here, as well as here. So here is a demo of me actually doing that. In this demo, I believe, okay, so this is what the Polygon ID wallet actually looks like. Scan a QR code, a proof request will be submitted, a cryptographic proof kind of like runs in the background. As that's running in the background, you connect to your actual wallet. So I connected to my MetaMask wallet here. After connecting MetaMask, connect, etc., great. Now it's actually generating the proof, and after the proof is generated, I would receive either an ERC-721 or an ERC-20 token, depending on what type of contract I actually built at that point. So the second part is that specific transaction that you have to pay some level of gas for to actually continue. Cool. And once you're done that, you're all set to go. So a couple of components to this again. The Polygon ID wallet is strictly for accessing and for scanning QR codes that give you proofs, and for scanning any type of verification QR code to prove that you have a certain credential. Nothing more, nothing less. It does not save it onto a blockchain, does not save it to any database. It's all saved to your local mobile app. So what can I do with something like a soulbound token or an airdrop or anything like that? You can take your token and gate access to a social app built on Lens, adjust for older ages if you want to create like a not safe for work kind of app. You never have to share your actual age with social media platforms ever again. Just a verification of if you are old enough. At this point, you are only sharing the fact that you are over the age of 13. You are not sharing what your actual birthday is, and that's what this query over here is actually taking care of. Simply checking that is this person's birthday less than this specific date. And you can update and change this date whenever you want. But essentially, when the verification happens, you never share your actual birthday. You only share the results of what that query is essentially looking at the pieces of data in your claim and saying, yes, this person is over 13, this person is over 18, etc. It's kind of like taking advantage of the full like ZK Snark side of things to share only what you need to share and nothing more than that. So now, these are some additional resources that you can use to start building. Again, this is just sort of like a basic introduction to using Polygon ID. I will be tweeting all of these things out as well. You can find all of that at Rahat codes. I subliminally put that there so you can follow me. All of these tutorials, all of these guides, GitHub repos, there's GitHub repos for myself, as well as 2 members of my team, Steph and Manny, who've also done different variations of this. I think Manny's Polygon ID repo contains a lot of like the different errors that you can possibly get when you're actually trying to build this out. So definitely check that out. That's super useful when you're trying to like troubleshoot through different things. But if you enjoyed the workshop, let us know. Tweet at us at OXPolygonDevs and at myself at Rahat Codes. And we'd love to open it up to any questions. Correct. Yeah. So you would have to. So the question was, if you were to delete your Polygon mobile app, Polygon ID mobile wallet, would you have to reclaim all of your, credentials? Yes, you would have to, because it is just saved locally. It's not saved anywhere else. There are many claims that'll probably expire, because you remember there was like that expiration kind of thing. So many of those claims may expire anyway, so you would have to just verify anyway. Or one of the things that I talked about during there was like using a claim to mint a soulbound token that verifies you're 13 or older. While you may no longer have that claim, you still have that NFT, and you can take that NFT to any other platform. Yeah.
The Polygon ID to kind of authenticate my credentials with respect to my degree, etc.
Yeah. So if you remember, one of the things that I had mentioned was that smart contract that we have already deployed on Mumbai. That's the part that's actually taking care of all of the ZK verification for you. When you scan any of those QR codes, what you're essentially doing is using that query language to not only query, because like when you scan it, you're scanning it from your mobile app. So you give access to that credential itself, but not all of the data associated to it. So only the information that is specifically needed from that credential is actually shared with that contract. Cool. Any other questions? Awesome. Thank you all for joining this workshop. There's going to be a part 2 to this workshop during ETH India on Friday. Like I said, this time we kind of focused on like the broader picture of like wearing all the different hats, issuing as well as claiming. On Friday, we're going to be focusing more on just the issuing and how to use an API to build your own issuer. If you wanted to build your own age verification issuer, DAO member, voting issuer, anything like that, or any type of credential that you want. So definitely check that out. Question? Yeah, so what we're going to be going over on Friday is using the API to issue. So right now I showed you how to issue using the UI platform, which obviously you wouldn't do in real life. So rather than going through that UI platform, you can use our API, and essentially the actual verification process, like whatever you verify, totally up to you. Like you can use some service that verifies your passport, ID, whatever, and then generate a claim based on that verification. So it's that side of things, Polygon ID has nothing to do with. It's simply giving you the storage for putting in that claim and using ZK proofs to verify it. It's completely up to you to actually do the verification with whatever other service you want. Cool. All right, thank you all.